tua placa.
Good morning, Grieve, as well. It's good morning here in Australia. Just one final check I've got to do. Hang on, Grievers. How are y'all? How are y'all? Welcome to Smooth Criminal. My name's Tori. I'm a former criminal lawyer. I'm still a lawyer. I just don't do crim anymore because, well, that's a long story. Hey, beautiful scout. Oh, hang on. Hello. It's Tori from the beach. I braved the ocean, even though we've had blue bottles hanging around for weeks now. Not a problem. Didn't encounter one. There were some on the beach. I saw them, but in and out I went. Jen Lee, hello. I've got to go and pick up a parcel after midday, and I've got quite a few things to do around the house. You know, all that pre-Christmas stuff. Not that there's a lot to do here. As you can see, I've got my decoration up. My Christmas tree is up. The little macrame wall hanging took hours to decorate it. And yeah, a few things to do here. So I thought I would just hang around till I need to go out. But while I was dipping in the ocean and got a bit of a brain freeze, I'm not going to lie, because the water is still cold. Oh, thank you, Jen Lou. I'm daggy. Jack Green. Now I want to go into Hobart and have a beer and a burger. All the beautiful people are rolling on in. Now, as you guys know, I mean, the world is pretty much, anyone that follows crime is gripped by the Idaho 4 murders. But here at Smooth Criminal, we try to look at different angles. We had the other day the discovery that I made that a lot of grannies are hanging out in 4chan now. Quite a few 4chan people are giving me messages of love, and I just want a big shout out to you, Grievers. Thank you very much. Well, actually, no. Grandma Beryl says, thank you very much. Wake the truck up, America. Hello, beautiful. We played your video the other night, and I'm not sure if you were still in my live or not. Nice work. And yeah, it's not a game, but it was a brilliant video. Yeah, if you haven't checked it out, someone might want to drop Wake the Truck Up's link into chat, because similar thinker. A lot of us are here. We don't just look at crime. I don't use true crime anymore because OG true crime isn't. Well, it's still a thing. There's still a few people that do true crime the old-fashioned way, you know, speculating, but using the facts that we know, being mindful that we only know a very small percentage, maybe 10%, if that. That's how OG true crime used to work. Also, we used to discuss cases that were already done and dusted extensively. But these days, we've now got the sleuthers. And an area of law that I have talked about for several years now on this and my other channel is how social media is influencing both criminal and civil trials. And there's plenty of examples of that. We've got victims talking out about victims' families, and sometimes victims talking about how social media impacted them. We've got completely innocent people talking about how social media impacted them as well. There's also plenty of examples, especially in Australia, of cases where the likelihood of impaneling an unbiased jury are slim now because of social media and other platforms too, and media as well. Activities. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and it's unraveling. It's evolving as we speak. But also we're watching, I think, the great unraveling on social media platforms in how people are now looking at crime, and we've got this whole new generation that aren't remotely interested in being curious and looking at the facts and speculating, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm all for that. That's what true crime conversations used to be like. But this new generation, a lot of the time, are ignoring the facts. They are identifying someone and then investigating every aspect of that person's life. We saw the fallout with Kylie Rodney and kids and teenagers in Truckee and what happened to them, right down to death threats. Like, it's just getting out of hand. And part of the problem is that you've got law enforcement, media outlets reporting that they want this sort of speculation that isn't based on facts to stop or to die down a bit, because they're basically asking people to just trust that they are investigating the crime. And the problem is because we only know 5 or 10%, a lot of people are automatically saying, no, the police are inept and they're not doing a good job, and they don't factor in things like we know very little. So this live is really about an article that I saw relating to the Idaho murders. I'm also going to show you an article that came out this week regarding the shooting of 2 cops and an innocent man in Queensland, a fully ambushed standoff. I'm planning on doing a live on that tonight. For those of you who are following the Williambilla shootings that happened in Australia last week, and it will be an update on the facts. I think at the end we can have a bit of a chat about it, but I really just want, because there's so much to that story, it's getting more and more full on. But I want to show you the what the Australian social media users have been politely asked to do or not do. And I'm also going to, I've mentioned it a few times, I want to show you guys as well the article I showed in a live a few weeks ago, last week, or even this week, I can't recall, of how the Australian media is reporting the Idaho murders as well. It's just interesting. Green Eyes, hello. You cried watching the funeral yesterday. Yeah, I saw a snippet of it, but I haven't sat through the full memorial. It's incredibly sad. And, and already the cops are being criticised for not mentioning the neighbour who was killed as well. But, it was a memorial funeral for the Queensland cops who were killed. I mean, it doesn't matter what anyone does these days. There's always going to be someone who has to criticise it. Bagpipes get you right in the feels, don't they, Green Eyes? Hello to anyone else rolling on in. Good to have you here. So, yeah, this is another angle, slightly different, I think. I haven't really found, and I've tried to, anyone who really looks into this area of how social media and law are colliding, and how trials are being impacted. I mean, we also talk here about how innocent people are being impacted as well. Oh, they're filling up again now. Well, let's, I'm sorry to hear that, Green Eyes. I'll try and have a few laughs along the way, although they are, crime lives are pretty heavy subjects. So an article has come out. I've seen it on variations of it on different sources, but it is Fox News. And again, let's take everything with a grain of salt. But it's not the first time Ellie and Moscow have asked the public to just calm down a bit. And I thought at the end of this live, we can talk about some of the things people have seen out there on YouTube, social media platforms, websites, forums, etc., that they've noticed that they're like, this is getting insane, because it really is getting ridiculous. Like, the voices of reason are just being so heavily diluted now that if you do see someone who makes a reasonable comment, it's almost cause for celebration. So this is the article regarding the Idaho murders, and the public are being cautioned against rushing to judgment as police pursue each and every lead. And essentially, long-time law enforcement officers and crime analysts are pretty much asking the public to stop drawing conclusions. Now, this sort of request isn't the first in the Moscow murders. And they keep putting these sorts of articles out and, the press releases that come out of the Moscow PD reiterate that, the interviews of them, but also the printed versions, and people don't care. And this is where I can't get my head around it. If you're going to be into this area, the most important thing you can do is look at the facts and pay attention to information as it comes out. And that should extend to requests asking the public to stop drawing conclusions. And they don't care. They're saying, the cops are hopeless, they're not doing anything. And then the cops come out and say stuff and they just ignore it because it's about them and what they're doing. It's this selective hearing is a massive problem. Just one day after police analysed a Hyundai Elantra that was found in Eugene, Oregon, and later said they didn't believe it was connected to the quadruple homicides, retired investigators say it makes sense that police would be pursuing any and all leads, regardless of whatever progress they've made so far. When you're doing a murder investigation, it's important to run down each and every lead that may lead to a killer, says Ted Williams, a former Washington, D.C. homicide detective. And yeah, in this instance, even though the vehicle was some 700 miles away, they still had an obligation to look at the vehicle since it fit the description of a vehicle they were looking for. Now, yesterday it came out that the vehicle isn't connected. But people on YouTube and Twitter, even today, are going on and on and on about this car. And it has been stated 24 hours ago, it's not connected. People are also questioning why it was towed, but in the same sentence, commenting on how people were trying to break into it. Short note, Kerry, good morning. If that car was connected, members of the public have gone and found that car and have tried to break into it. These same sleuths who think the cops are incompetent and want answers now or yesterday or 5 weeks ago. And look, don't get me wrong, I get it. People are freaking out about it. It's a horrible, horrible crime. It's horrific. People are scared and they do want whoever did it off the streets. We all do. But again, you can't be one of these sleuthin types and then you take yourself physically to a car that at that point may have been involved and connected and try and break into it and essentially taint a crime scene or a piece of evidence. Which one is it? Like, this is where it's so out of control that I don't understand. Why have people lost their sense of being just rational and logical and thinking this through? I know it's sat there for days or weeks or whatever, and now they've just towed it. Well, I don't know if it's the case in Eugene, Oregon, but when I was in Hawaii, I commented to my friends about, I couldn't believe how many cars there were on the side of the road, like broken, pranged, busted cars. And in Hawaii, they have to leave the cars on the side of the road for X amount of time. And I can't remember if my friend said it was until they locate the owner, and then the owner essentially is the one that's required to remove it. And it involves people getting, full-on tow trucks and all that sort of stuff. But apparently there is a period of time that they are required to leave them sitting there on the side of the road. I'll have to ask my buddies what the reasoning behind that was. But it was unbelievable to me how many cars are just sitting on the side of the road as you drive all over. Well, not just Oahu, but Maui, Hawaii, Kauai, all of them. It was kind of weird. No, it's not a good idea to commit a crime while investigating. But that's the other thing too. They keep saying, we're investigating it. This is hunter-killer. We're going to solve this. Bless them. Bless them all. But yeah, it just is getting so ridiculous. So this article there's the Hyundai. But yeah, they reported on Tuesday, Idaho police, that it said it wasn't related to the November 13th murders of the 4 university students. The cops were definitely aware of the vehicle and investigators were working on it. There's a dramatic shot of it missing its rear plates. The investigators later said they'd spoken with the owner of the damaged vehicle and police discovered it while responding to a 911 call on December the 17th. So, I mean, the cops are always like one step ahead of everyone, but, you know, let's ignore that fact too. It was involved in the collision, subsequently impounded. And again, nothing to do with the investigations. Well, and then there's a bit more about the car. I mean, the point wasn't so much to go too much about the car. It was more about, once again, a request has come out cautioning people to not jump to these conclusions from their computers. Williams and that Teddy Williams again, and Joseph Giacalone, a former New York City police officer turned criminal justice professor, cautioned against members of the public from trying to solve this case or draw conclusions from their computers. Oh, wait, go away, Fox. Oh, good. And that's the end of Fox. Spam my channel with your crazy ads. I'll read the rest of it if I can get. I don't want. Count me out. How do I get out of there? That guy's got brighter lipstick than the lady. We have a host of individuals who are playing the role of law enforcement officers and have no formal law enforcement training. Yeah. And a host, I mean, we'll be talking in the tens of thousands. I'm in a Facebook group that I've mentioned before that I don't even participate in because I'm too embarrassed to. I don't want anyone in there going, oh, my God, what are you doing in here? But there's over like 100,000 in there. And like I said, you play the game Spot the Reasonable Human. It's once every 10, 15 minutes. You're like, finally, well done. But also stressing individuals shouldn't get involved to a degree where evidence is either tainted or evidence goes missing. I mean, this is just, it's getting absolutely ludicrous. It's embarrassing. That's what it is. I'll whack this back up again. Now I've got rid of the ad. Also, can I just say I've never heard so many different pronunciations of the word Hyundai in my life. Well, my pronunciation of it comes from my radio days because we used to do live reads for them and we rang up to find out how to pronounce it. And if you actually put on YouTube, if you punch in Hyundai South Korea and watch one of their TV commercials, there's no way people that speak English can pronounce it because there's just some things in Asian dialects. There's some sounds together that they make that's common to them but not to us. And they say it very quickly too. But we rang up Hyundai to find out how to pronounce it and what they taught us so that we'd remember it, because a couple of times we went live and then we were like, what did they say again? You go all day, every day, Hyundai. They taught us that, Hyundai. So I'm not saying I'm the authority on the pronunciation. I just think that's interesting because, yeah, I've heard it. I've heard people in America sort of calling it like Hyundai. But I've also heard people in America calling Moscow, Moscow, even though the Moscow police and everyone else reporting from Moscow pretty much says Moscow. But yeah, so look, I've listened to the South Korean equivalent and they say it very quickly and there's this sort of noise in there, like a which we don't use in our everyday speech. But yeah, we're back in the day when we used to do live reads and we used to get to drive quite a few different Hyundais, including like the top of the range ones and V6s and all that sort of stuff. But we also got to drive around in little Hyundai Getzers, which are like Tic Tacs with wheels basically. And That was the only car in all of the different. I mean, we got Saabs and all sorts of other cars as well to drive, but that was the only car I got a speeding ticket in. Was the little Tic Tac Hyundai Getz. And there's a comedian in Australia who used to say, "My mum drives a Getz and she's a very bad driver." And oh no, it was about a Barina, I think. Might have been a Getz. I don't know. But he said she was a crazy driver and came in the driveway one time and nearly hit him. And he said, I wasn't scared because it would have just wrapped itself around my wrist and I could have worn it as a bangle. But yeah, I got a speeding ticket in the bangle. I know. I'm with you, Green Eyes. And you didn't need to put sarcasm in brackets, but I'm glad you did because I'm finding not everyone's getting my sarcasm when I'm now bouncing around out there on YouTube land participating in chats. But yes, how dare the police not give every detail? The entitlement that people think they deserve to know. I mean, imagine if the cops did give us. Look at the damage that's been caused already on the tiny snippets we're being given. The fact Ellie has to continue to ask social media to stop the shenanigans is exactly, and that's the point of this live. Just because you've seen handcuffs or even been in a pair doesn't qualify you. Sheesh. I saw a post this morning of a business owner complaining about all the media and LE attention and wanting them to disappear because it's bad for business. That's terrible. Like these poor victims are in. That's horrible. I mean, look, business owners do suffer when things like this happen. No doubt about it. It's unavoidable. It really is. But it's also, on the flip side, think of all these little social media sleuthies that are heading to Moscow to be there. Like, they're bringing business into the town too. So, but yeah, I mean, to be honest, if you had people standing outside your business day in, day out doing reports with your business in the background, that would be a bit frustrating. Hey, Humanimal. Yeah, the entitlement, and it is embarrassed. In the US, commercials say Hyundai. They probably need to call Hyundai. I've heard Americans pronouncing it Hyundai and Hyundai, which is what we thought it might have been, which is why we rang them up and they taught us all day, every day Hyundai. Go to the source, you know. That's what I think. Go to the source. I mean, we didn't literally go to South Korea. We rang them. So you say Hyundai. And that's what I think we originally were saying that. And then we rang them all day, every day, Hyundai. But yeah, call them. See if they teach you that little poem too. I don't know. That's all I know about that word. But the true crime community, they're not true crime. I mean, well, hang on. The true crime community can do a lot of good, said Gia Coloni, now an author and adjunct professor at John Jay College of Criminal Justice in New York City. But in this case, I think we've seen just enough. Stop it. They've seen enough. You need to all calm the farm, calm down. I kind of feel it's a bit of a blessing that we've got Christmas looming because it might mean that things simmer down for 24, 48 hours, hopefully. I mean, I'd take an hour of simmering down as a bonus right now. Imagine what they'd be over the moon. Questions continue to swirl as the November 13 quadruple homicide surpasses 5 weeks without a suspect. It's not the first time investigations have taken this long to find a suspect. Think of how many people, 10,000 tips they're still following. Think of how many people they've had to interview. Like, I don't know why these new true crimers are experts, because they're the same as the ones that are going, it's going cold. It's not. There's 10,000 tips. It's not even close. I couldn't find a case that was declared cold in under 12 months of investigation where absolutely everything had run out. I can't find, there's no sort of real accurate definition other than when every stone has been turned over, and that's it. You've run out of tips, leads, everything. It's all just, but the common sort of time frame is a minimum of 12 months before a case is considered cold. Kaylee Gonsalves, 21, Madison Mogan, 21, and 20-year-olds Ethan Chapin and Xana Knodel were discovered fatally stabbed inside the 3-story King Road residence just before noon, November 13th. I do like that all the media reporting continues to name them and put information in there. I mean, I personally, they probably, I think, should start every article with it, but that's another thing. These sort of sleuthing communities, I don't know how they aren't aware that these are real lives lost and real lives suffering. There's so little regard for the victims and all the victims' family and friends and loved ones. It's astounding. They're just hungry. I just wanted to see if this is I think this is an article where they continue to add things. So look at that, 22,000 Hyundais, Hyundai, call it what you want, tomato. Well, no, I think when it comes to a brand, we should all try, but we're never going to be able to do the Hyundai noise ever, unless we're South Korean, possibly North Korean and other Asian countries like nearby. But yeah, so they've got 22,000 Hyundai, all day, every day, Hyundai Elantras. They've got 113 pieces of physical evidence, about 4,000 photos. They've received an estimated 10,000 tips and leads as of Monday. And yeah, they want people to help if they've got information that's relevant. But these sleuthing communities, someone puts a theory up, and I can just picture 200 people getting straight on the phone and going, I'm on Facebook and I've just read this. Or 20 people going, I just watched a tarot reader say this. Like, you want them to hurry up, but you might want to stop slowing it down too. I just want to go back to that paragraph. We have a host of individuals who are playing the role of law enforcement officers and have no formal law enforcement training. He stressed these individuals should not get involved to a degree where evidence is either tainted or evidence goes missing. And as a former criminal lawyer, I'd like to add to that, or you're essentially meddling with a witness to the extent that criminal lawyers are going to get enough reason to strike prosecution witnesses as being unreliable. Look at Quinton Simon, the babysitter. She gave 2 very different stories to 2 different YouTubers. As a criminal lawyer, I'd be in there going, oh, shame the babysitter is one of the prosecution's key witnesses, but based on these completely different statements, I'm going to request this witness is struck from the proceedings on the grounds they are unreliable. And thank you to the 2 YouTubers who stuffed everything up. Look, what's going to happen when the online sleuthing gets to a point that a guilty person walks free and commits another crime? Are they all going to be apologizing, taking responsibility? Look what happens when people are cleared in cases, not the Idaho 4, but people are actually cleared after being falsely accused. For example, Athena Strand's stepmother, and YouTubers just pointing the finger straight away. And then when they realized they'd made a mistake, well, everybody was saying that. No, not everyone was. I didn't go live and say Athena Strand's stepmother did it. Don't speak on behalf of it. Don't justify your crappy, irresponsible behavior by saying everyone was saying it, because everyone wasn't. No one in the smooth criminal community said that. don't put us all in your category. But then went on to say, and I'm not giving them an apology, stuff them. I got it wrong. They're not getting an apology. They'll never apologize when they're ruining lives. The kid that had to leave Truckee with his family because of the amount of death threats they got. Like, honestly, yeah, the true crime community can do a lot of good. But in this case, I think we've seen just enough. But the thing is, guys, we all think this way already. Like, this is how we all function and think. How do we get the message out there? Like, if they're not listening to the cops and experts, you know, if you try to point things out to them and say, maybe you want to stop blaming that person when you don't really have any facts yet that would be enough to even speculate with some confidence that they did it, you might want to wait. Not saying you're wrong. People have very powerful hinky meters. Some people can look at a case and they know right from the start what's going on. This one hasn't been like that for me. Chris Watts knew straight away he did it. No doubt in my mind. My hinky meter was spinning off the radar. Like, not off the radar, it was completely on the radar, but it was spinning out of control. This one, and that's why I keep leaning towards the creepy serial killer theory. But yeah, all of these people that are speculating, and you watch when the person is arrested, or people, I told you so. I told you, everyone. I was the one that said that first. It was me. Look at when I went live. I said it first. Again, no regard at all that 4 kids lost their lives. No regard for the fact that people will be grieving for the rest of their lives that they've lost these precious humans from their worlds. It's all a competition, and who said it first? I don't know if my hinky meter is leaning towards a complete stranger just because not many people are saying that theory. And if it means all these poor kids, college kids that are having their lives over scrutinized and ripped to shreds are all like off the hook, I feel that it's almost going to be a blessing if it isn't anyone they know. I mean, I hope they get whoever it was, but I'll be switching off the second people are live going, I said it first. I called it first. I knew it. We're back on Hyundai. All day, every day. Hyundai. But look, different pronunciations around the world are what makes this interesting. But I also think sometimes, like if it's a brand or a town name, Moscow, pronunciations are important. I mean, I'm covering an Australian mass shooting at the moment, and there's Australian country towns I've never even heard of, and I've Googled how to pronounce them, and there's been 20 different ways to pronounce them, and I'm like, what do I do? I'll call the local pub and see if they answer it and go, whatever the pub is, Wagga Wagga Pub. I mean, I know how to pronounce Wagga Wagga, obviously, but you know what I mean. Although Americans would probably pronounce it Wagga Wagga because it is WAGGA. It's the Indigenous word for helicopter. Wagga 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 Wagga. I'm kidding, it's not. But it is an Indigenous name. Hey, Cement Shoes. Good to see you, mate. Not sure, Green Eyes. After dinner. I'm working tomorrow, so it's not going to be late. It might be like 7:30 my time, maybe 8:30, 8 probably. It'll be more of an update rather than a getting too, chatty about it, because at the moment there's just so much information that is coming out about what happened. And that's brought me to the Australian story, because my live is about the US and Australia. So I'll be showing this again tonight, but this is regarding, and this is one of many articles that have what I'm going to show you at the bottom of it or at the start of it. It sort of depends. Sometimes it's in the middle. But these Queensland shootings that happened last week, I'll get my face off the screen. Tripe clowners and Cement Shoes came up with gore crows, which I really like too. Tripe clowners. I was calling them fake sleuthers or bad sleuthers, false sleuthers, you sleuthers. I mean, we could just call them dickheads too. That's one of many. In fact, I meant to include. I'm doing another Stop the Madness video. Interestingly, Cement Shoes, and I do have Shane Carey in that one. But here's another one. I didn't look at it and think that it was suspicious. His interviews at all. I mean, I'll be honest with you, even the footage from the celebration of life with Kaylee Gonsalves's mum and dad and Jack D, that people keep playing over and over and over again, where he's giving Kaylee's mum a hug and then he's looking at Steve Gonsalves and then Steve turns and sort of walks away in the opposite direction. And people are playing that over and over and over again, saying how it's obvious that Steve Gonsalves has been repelled by Jack D. And I mean, if you haven't seen it, I don't know where you've been because it's been everywhere. But I always look at things like that and go, what was happening right before and after? And when they actually pan out, you see them all walking off the stage. So Steve Gonsalves sort of turning and walking off. But the look they give each other is of, to me, heartbroken people, not scorn or fear or whatever, or contempt. And again, you put yourself in someone's shoes. I had to speak at my dad's state funeral with over 1,000 people in the Federation Concert Hall, and it was also being broadcast live on numerous social media, media platforms. And I remember when I came out of my mum's funeral, somebody said something pretty funny and my sister and I started laughing, and later when we were having sandwiches and cups of tea, we overheard a woman saying how disrespectful it was of the two of us to be laughing when we walked out of our mother's funeral. Right, just totally reaming us within earshot. And I remember thinking, do I punch this lady in the face? And I actually turned around and said to her, the one thing Mum would want more than most is for us to keep laughing through this. But thanks for your opinion, lady. So when I was doing Dad's eulogy and people were watching in that room, in that concert hall, but not room, it was a huge concert hall, but also online, I was incredibly mindful that I didn't. I mean, my eulogy actually was quite funny. I had many jokes in it and people enjoyed it. But I made a point of not being seen to be laughing before and after I gave it, because all eyes were on us. And after what happened at my mum's funeral, I really had to keep reminding myself to not do anything that someone would criticize. Because at the end of the day, if I've lost my parents and I'm able to still laugh at their memories and funny stories and things like that, laughter through tears to me is one of the most perfect emotions. Thanks to Steel Magnolias for teaching me that. So I see a grieving dad and mother and on again, off again, or ex-boyfriend, with everyone looking at them and they're grieving and just trying to remain composed while they wrap things up and leave a stage. But so many people are analysing that video over and over and over again and saying he's guilty. They're not considering what happened right before or after. Same with the new footage that came out with the girls and hoodie guy. How many weeks were people blaming Hoodie Guy, who still hasn't actually, like, who they allege it is, has never been verified by a credible source, about how suspicious he was, and then we see footage of them walking in to the, like, towards the food truck, having the time of their lives. You know, you can't get a lot out of a snippet of information. But there's still people saying, "Oh, yeah, no, they do look like they're getting on really well and having fun, but things got creepy when they got to the food truck." He just looked like a guy who was keeping an eye on them, didn't want to get some food himself, and he was just hanging around. Bit awkward because he's just hanging around. I mean, film me down at a food truck tomorrow night with two of my friends and I'm not eating, and I'll look suspicious to some of you. Show me walking to the food truck moments before with my friends and we're all laughing and having a great time. Are you still going to say I'm a creep because I look a bit awkward standing back from the food truck because I don't want some carbonara? You know what I mean? I'm sure you do. I agree. They should STFU unless it's fact. I remember the guy on Twitter who was falsely accused of being Brian Laundrie, and not one person apologised for bombarding and harassing him and wrongly accusing him. Exactly. And then what was the name of the guy? Is it Edward John? For some reason, the guy in the Luca Magnotta case, where a Facebook group actually falsely accused this guy and ended up ending his life over it. I think it's Edward John, because I'm also putting together another Stop the Madness video of where things just get so seriously out of control that people are ending. I'm trying to find the guy's name. I know I've got notes somewhere. I think it's something like Edward John. I'm looking in the wrong notebook. Hey, German. I would have gone to jail if someone had cracked wires to me. Yeah, I know. Hey, Francesca. Yep, people throwing young people under the bus, and they do not care. Comparing Oz to the States, did you catch the case back in November about the poor 7-month-old baby tortured and murdered by the parents? Look, we have horrible stuff here too, though. We, the public, get 1%. Oh, you're even more conservative than me, Scout. I think it's somewhere between 5 and 10, but there's a lot to that story, but he was hounded by Facebook, a Facebook group, our social media. I'll cover it in my video, Cement Shoes. I've only just started doing all my research on that, so I can't really state much of an opinion because there's a lot of in that story to go through. But it's the point I'm trying to make. We have horrific crimes in Australia. Our domestic violence ones are particularly horrific. But anyway, to the Australian current case that a lot of people are following and talking about, and like I said, I'll be going live tonight with an update. It's not going to be a speculative live because I'm just not going to have time. There's so much to go through in this story as well. But this is just interesting that this week a YouTube video came out that the two of the three perpetrators had published to YouTube. While it was still going on, they made a little video and put it on their YouTube channel, which is just creepy. But we'll be going through this tonight. But this and many other articles also feature these words at the end of them. Police have requested media outlets who publish video footage related to the shooting to remove it, saying it was distressing to the families of those involved and police. We respectfully request media outlets, including social media platforms and traditional media outlets, to remove this content from their platforms and discontinue broadcast if they have not already, police said. They said it twice. We also urge members of the public not to repost or share this content. So just so everybody knows, when I am covering the Queensland shootings tonight, I will not be showing the YouTube video. And I've had a few people, even I think Joman asked if I could point them in the direction of the audio from the helicopters while the siege was going on. I'm not going to be playing that either. That sort of stuff is really easy to find. Just 5 or 10 minutes bouncing around on your search engine and looking at some articles and so on. But I will not be broadcasting that stuff tonight. We'll be going through some updates, but I am going to be a responsible human being, and I put victims and their families and friends first in everything I do on this channel. And the police have specifically asked people to not share it online, repost it or share it. It's distressing to the families of those involved and police. So I just think it's interesting. We've got these two cases happening at the moment in opposite parts of the world, and this is going to be the way forward. But I feel like these requests and polite requests at the moment are still going unheeded or unheard by the sleuths. They don't want to pay attention. They'll pour through a press release from the cops but ignore requests like this. I just think it's kind of interesting that, yeah, probably the two most followed cases online at the moment. Well, not that many people are covering the Queensland shootings, but we are. And we will be following that through to the end with, official investigations and inquests and all sorts of things that are likely to happen. But at the moment, I will be providing an update tonight. It's not going to be a long night live because I have my last day of work for the year tomorrow. Woohoo! And then I'm not back at work till the 16th of Jan. And I'm pretty excited about that. But yeah, I mean, these sorts of requests are being put out there, but the Gore Crows, the You Sleuthers, what was the other one up there? I liked it too. Was it? The Tripe Clowners. Yeah, I like the use of the T and the C. I see what you did there. I'm writing it down, the Tripe Clowners. They're waiting for information to come out, and then information may or may not come out, but requests like this come out in Australia and in the untied states of America. That's what a scammer said to me. It's not me. I know it's United. And they ignore it. Hey, yep, so what? Congrats about my holiday, I know. So yeah, one more time. Police have requested media outlets who publish video footage related to the shooting to remove it, saying it was distressing to the families of those involved and police. And the families of those involved are the people that should be at the top of your mind every time you cover crime. And the victims too. We respectfully request media outlets, including social media platforms and traditional media outlets, to remove this content from their platforms and discontinue broadcast if they have not already, police said. We also urge members of the public not to repost or share this content. And that is why you won't be seeing that content on any of the lives I do regarding the shootings in Queensland. I mean, what's it going to take? Are people actually, the Joseph Morris is going to be the precedent setters and end up in court over what he did with some sort of penalty that really does act as an effective deterrent? Is that what's going to have to happen? Because it's just out of control. And I'm going to show you at the end of this live, which is the end now. I've mentioned this a few times, even in a couple of chats and things that I've been in, because I find this fascinating. In Australia, we've got ridiculously, I mean, don't get me wrong, not ridiculous in a that's insane ridiculous, but like ridiculous in the extent, strict privacy laws, which is why a lot of Australians and other people in other countries around the world with similar privacy laws, like the UK, cases like Chris Watts with all that discovery coming out was just incredible. Like, was incredible, and we were incredulous because that just won't ever happen here. But I have mentioned this article a few times, and I thought I'd just share it one more time because it's sort of buried in another live. This is the Australian Broadcasting Commission, the ABC. Australia's got an ABC as well. Reporting on the Idaho murders. Now, this article was from the 29th of November. I didn't have time to find a fresher one, but I'm pretty sure it would still be the same. But if you have a look at the photo of the kids, the two surviving housemates, Dylan and Bethany, their faces are blurred out. Still. And then there's another photo of them with their faces blurred out still. They're referred to in the article as the two surviving housemates. And it actually says directly above that photo, the ABC is choosing not to name the survivors to protect the young women's privacy. Bit different. But again, we've got these privacy laws, and it's not common for us to be given the amount of information. I think when you said 1%, I think that'd be quite realistic in Australia. We probably get 1 to 5% max information, and we don't get to watch trials being live streamed, and discovery isn't released to the public to pore over. Like, they're able to read it with more authority than the experts. I mean, the Kylie Rodney autopsy results, the number of YouTubers that were live making out they could read them accurately and knew what everything meant. And then someone with some experience would come up on the panel and explain it to them. Oh, all right. Is that what that meant? Oh, okay. Yeah, all right. I've just been telling everyone for the last 6 weeks that CC Watts had been given alcohol. You know, just cray. But yeah, just thought you guys might find that interesting, especially people outside of Australia, just to see how our media are reporting on this. And they specifically caption this photo, the two surviving housemates. I don't name them. But also in the article, the ABC is choosing not to name the survivors to protect the young women's privacy. I mean, obviously, for people following it, don't get me wrong, there's probably gazillions of you sleuthers online that, you know, they've got access to the names and everything else. But I thought you guys might find that interesting. And also it's receipts, because I've mentioned it a few times and people are like, really? I don't believe you. And I'm like, well, you can come to my channel. The proof be there. There's a creator that's been sued for falsely accusing a person. They lost their channel and in no time started another channel again, spewing the same garbage. That's another thing. Like, YouTube have these terms and conditions, and and you're told what will happen to you. I mean, I played a video that didn't even belong to the dude who struck my channel, and the only option I had was essentially commence legal proceedings. I mean, I contacted YouTube and they were like, it's already a legal matter. We can't give you advice or assistance with that. And I'm like, but dude, help. But we all know of numerous creators who have essentially been removed by YouTube who are now back live again, and they shouldn't be on YouTube. YouTube took them down and they're back. I truly feel for people. I can't even imagine how those two young women are feeling. Survivor guilt and loss of their friends, roommates. And yeah, the first live we did about this case, one of the very first things that came out of my mouth when we saw that two girls had survived, it was like, their survivor's guilt is going to be horrific. And they've got to live with it for the rest of their lives. They could live to be in their 90s. We're talking 70 plus years these college kids may well have to live. And their lives are essentially being completely and utterly smashed to smithereens right now by the online sleuths. And we've talked about this time and time again. And Kylie Rodney keeps coming back to mind, but put Jagger's name into a search engine. The first things that come up are videos on YouTube accusing him of being a murderer. He's a kid. He's going to meet people, have relationships, apply for jobs, possibly, go off to college, you name it. Anyone who encounters him these days, the way the world is, you better do your research, check everything out before you get invested. People search his name and ka-ching, up it comes. And this is going to happen with these kids at college in Idaho too. Now, if one of them does end up being the killer, well, fair play, I guess, but it still shouldn't be happening. Not fair play. They will get their just desserts. It shouldn't be happening before they're actually charged and convicted. Like, you can't pride yourself on a justice system of innocent until proven guilty and then wreck the lives of, they didn't all do it. All these different people that are being targeted as the perpetrator, very different person being targeted now as the perp from even 5 days ago when that other video came out. But numerous others, the surviving housemates, there's a whole heap of them. The guy, Jake, at the food truck, that creepy, weird, Anan, harsh dude, Jeremy, like there's heaps of them. They didn't all do it. So you guys are getting like 99% of it wrong. And yeah, if it turns out to be one of them, sure. Just desserts time. Here we go. But until then, they're all innocent until proven guilty. And you're ruining lives. And if this ever happened to you or one of your kids, we wouldn't hear the end of it. And you'd be trying to get us all to pick up our pitchforks and go after every single person who said something horrible about you or your family, your kid. But because it's not directly connected to you and it's in a town far, far away, you'll do whatever you want. You'll be reckless and irresponsible without any consideration for what you're doing to these kids and their lives. They are being exploited. And, that's one of our lines here. Their stories are not yours to exploit. And that's what I say to myself every time before I go live. Anan is trolling. And how tasteless, How tasteless. But he's also, his entire life has been, is he potentially thinking this trolling is his way of saying you've all falsely accused me, so now I'm going to mess with you? I don't know. but it's not a good look. It's probably not the crime that you're connected to, not as a perpetrator, but we only know about this guy because of the Idaho 4 murders. Probably not the best crime to be fucking around like a dickhead on online and cracking wisecracks. I get it, mate. I imagine your life has been shit too because your name. Well, didn't he give an interview too? But I think he put himself in the mix. So there, put yourself out there. But I think he probably underestimated the extent of what would happen to him. But yeah, in any event, whatever he's doing, it's really tacky. Oh yeah, we've mentioned that one. So I'm going to wrap this live up, Groovers. I'm going to now start making lunch and get out of my bathers and do something with my fluff. My hair goes a bit fluffy after I've washed it and gone for a beach swim. It hasn't gone to its usual beach hair because it's too clean. If anyone does have anything else, I'm happy to hang around for a couple more minutes. And I'm also I still am going to be doing Brittany Higgins. That story is just, I might even just do a video about it, I think, because I don't know. But I reckon that could be something I'll be doing after Christmas now. I've put a lot of work and time into the research I've done. It's just such a shambles. And there's barely a day that something doesn't happen. Like yesterday, someone tweeted something incredibly defamatory about it, and they misspelled her name. And there's a theory that they did that to avoid being sued for defamation. That story's got more twists and turns than anything else I've ever looked at before. But yeah, I do want to do a live about it because it's a pretty embarrassing for Australia kind of story. It made us look pretty dumb. I'm going to be doing the train incident. Do you mean the Queensland shootings? I'm doing a live on that tonight, Joman. Just an update, though. It won't be. I'm working tomorrow, so it's not going to be a late one or a long one, just with all the stuff that's happened in the last week, because there's a lot. There's a lot. So it's more of a, this is what's happened. I definitely think there'll be, opportunities for us to do lives and have some really good chats about it and all the rest of it. But yeah, tonight it'll be more of an update. But I'm assuming that's what you're talking about. Lazy day, lucky you. Yeah, I'm enjoying a fairly lazy day too, but I really do need to get a move on. I'm not sure, Jamin, probably because I'm working, it might be 7:30. I'll set a live. It adjusts to everyone's time zones, but probably 7:30 my time, but I can't commit to that precisely because there's a couple of Christmassy things this afternoon, and it might be a bit later that I get home. I'll set up the live as soon as I can, and you'll get at least half an hour's notice, maybe an hour. But if you do your world clock and see what time it is for you at 7:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, that'll give you a rough idea. Thank you, Scout. Oh, wait, gratuitous Sunny shot. She's not there. Sunny. Don't know where she is. She's over on the rug near the sliding door watching the world go by. I'm excited. She's got off the ottoman. I was starting to think she was glued to it. Really nice weather today, Green Eyes. I've been for a swim. Water's pretty cold still, understandably, and we've got blue bottles, but I went in, didn't encounter any. Saw some on the beach, but Sunny activated stealth mode, I know. But the dent. Look at the dent. I straighten that thing up and I vacuum it whenever she's not on it. I get the little Dyson V6 cat hair, dog hair extracting machine onto it. Within a minute, it's full of her fluff, and I need to do it again. And it gets done every other day because some days she just doesn't move from it. The dent. I think that's why she and Biscuit loved it, because the other ottoman behind it is a lot firmer. But this one, it's like one of those really good quality old-fashioned cotton fabric bean bags that you can just really get into. Everyone's loving the dent. The sunny dent. Yeah, it is warming up. We had to have a nice Christmas day too, but there's a car flying down the street the wrong way. It makes me feel sick every time they do it. Because my house is right on a 90-degree bend and someone's going to get killed. We've rang the council about it. They don't care. They've said that not enough people are complaining, and it's like there's literally 10 houses in my street and 5 of them are shacks and the other 5 are permanent residents. And it's like, well, what do I have to do? Do I need to call you 30 times? Are you going to log that as an individual call each time? So, yeah, it's not a priority, but it terrifies me, especially heading into summer, because there's a track that goes to the beach right in front of my house, and there's always people and little kids and babies and dogs, you name it, even the occasional cat on a lead. Yeah, someone's going to get killed or severely hurt before they do anything about it. It's very frustrating. What am I looking at my phone for? Oh, the weather. Yeah, so, I mean, it's only getting to 23, but it's sunny, and our sun is hot, bitey. It's nice. Like, I was gardening yesterday afternoon and got really hot and bothered. And then Christmas Day, 26. Oh, it's gone up 5 degrees. So, yeah, we're in that sort of mid-20s range now. Summer has finally arrived. Oh my God, we're pushing 30 after Christmas, so you beauty. And then I'm off to the land of it's 32 degrees every day. It's just the humidity that changes. Some animals live in a den. Sunny lives in a dent. Did you hear that, Mugs? Carol. That's one of her nicknames is Carol. Sunny, you live in a dent. It's good though. I can go and I'll get the vacuum and do the dent. She'll give me the look of, I swear to God, yesterday, the day before, I went for my beach walk. Like, I feed her in the morning. I go for a beach walk, come home and start doing breakfasty sort of stuff. And then I had to go to an appointment, and I said goodbye to her from the kitchen doorway. And she seriously did a Billy Idol one side of her lip raise. I can't do it. Just like, as if to say, you just got home and now you're leaving me again. I wish I'd gotten a photo of it. It was hilarious. Either that or her gum was caught on her lip was caught on a snaggletooth. I don't know. 38 degrees next week. Woo! 36. See, that's a bit hot for Christmas Day. 32 is my favourite temperature. You too, Scout. I'll definitely be live again before Christmas. In fact, I may even go live on Christmas because I'm having a really yummy brunch with a friend of mine. And my family, the big party, well, we're having Christmas in January, but our big party historically in our family is Boxing Day. So I'll definitely be going to the beach on Christmas Day and maybe do a bit of gardening. But I might even go live and wish you all a Merry Christmas. You have a heat wave with 12 degrees Celsius. Yeah, well, we've had 12 degrees Celsius like in the last couple of weeks in summer. Go Tassie. Your boy your boy cat sits in front of the door if you're going out. Oh, to block you. None shall pass. Oh, look, thanks guys for hanging out. Do hit the thumbs up. I'm only asking you to do that because I've learned some stuff. And one of the things, and I should have, I feel silly asking people to do it at the start, but it does actually help if you do it at the start. But I feel like I haven't done anything to warrant a thumbs up at the start. But if we get 50% thumbs up for who's watching, that's how you get on the algorithm. And I'm starting to grow. Like, I'm getting new subscribers. The majority of the people who watch my stuff still haven't subscribed. Why not? Come on. Hang out with us. We're groovy. We're not as cool as the grannies hanging out in 4chan, but we're close. Come on. And also, yeah, if you ever feel that there's a live I've done that you think it's worth mentioning to people you know out on YouTube, please point them in the direction, because there's some really interesting people starting to comment, and I'd love them to start coming in and chatting and participating in lives and so on. And this morning was a bit of an experiment about going live this time, because this is actually the peak time for the people who are subscribed to my channel to go live. But realistically, it's, I mean, again, never going to criticize you guys, but it's the same gang, right? We haven't had anybody new roll on in. Yeah, we're relaxing too. We're having a very crazy Christmas day. Oh, 6 degrees. Yeah, that when you got in the fridge to warm up. Minus 46. What? No way. We're having a chill one too, like my neighbor, because my sister's husband's family, they do a huge Christmas Eve every year. I normally do a big Christmas Eve as well because of that with my best friends here, but they're actually on their way to Queensland as we speak, because one of them's from there originally. And that Christmas Eve is usually a group of about 24 of us, like it's big. And then Christmas Day is usually a quick brunch before we all dissipate. And one of my best friend's brother is a chef at a fantastic restaurant here, and he does brunch, and we're all just like, our own personal Frogmore Creek breakfast on Christmas morning. Thank you very much. But none of that's happening because the boys have gone to Queensland. So my neighbour and I, it was her first Christmas in Tassie in her new house last year. She had all of her family here, and so she just wanted a really quiet Chrissy. And then my family, our big gathering is Boxing Day. So Christmas days can often be really quiet unless all my family are back here together, and then Christmas is here and it's huge. But at the moment, more than half of my family are overseas. So why am I even telling you this? It's all bit, but yeah, we're having so my neighbour and I are going to go and have, I was going to cook originally, and then I discovered we can get a really amazing 5-course brunch / lunch with champagne and crayfish and all kinds of stuff for $85 a head. So we're doing that, and we'll both be home by 1 o'clock-ish. And both of us, she's really into her gardening. I'm getting into gardening. I'm loving the beach. It's going to be a nice day. But yeah, so, and then when we're all in Singapore, we're having Christmas in January with Secret Santa and everything. So it's kind of fun. But I will go live. Some people might just want to come and hang out. It might be on, we are very friendly, come join us. It might be on Tasmania Calling though. Well, it will be. Tasmania Calling. I wish you a Merry Christmas. So if you want to come and pop in and say good day, feel free to. I have actually got some other friends I've got to go and have a couple of beers with at some point too. So, but I should be around. I like the small Chrissy's green eyes. Well, that all sounds lovely too, Scout. Well, thanks, Grooveroonies. Smootheronies. And thank you for the thumbs up. That's awesome work, Groovers. I've got more thumbs up than people watching now. So you're all awesome. Yeah, I think we're going to have a lovely time. Now the garbage truck's coming up the street. If that had been coming up the street earlier when the car went flying down, it would have been pretty bad. Thank you to everyone and to the mods, but thank you too for appreciating that I keep trying to find little angles that we can talk about while we patiently wait for information to come out. Like, I really do appreciate that, because if I ever do a live and nobody is present, I'll nip it in the bud pretty quickly. But if there's even one person who just wants to discuss things and what they're seeing online, for example, or, the perspective the other day of all of these women that are discovering 4chan, which I still can't stop laughing about. I keep picturing Grandma Beryl on Christmas Day in her 4chan cap and T-shirt. I keep looking out the window because there's something out in the water. I think it's dolphins. Hope it's not sharks. I actually want to go back down there. It's looking really pretty now. It was beautiful before, but now it's got that hello summer look about it. Anywho, I really do appreciate that. I like that, I do keep trying to think of different little quirky angles, but I thought it was worth, once again, because it is something I'm very passionate about, but also take very seriously, is just the responsibility social media users have, and the fact that we've got police departments in two different countries, begging the social media chatter to stop and slow down, and people just don't give a shit and they're going to keep doing it. What's it going to take? Hopefully I'll see some of you guys tonight. We'll go through the latest stuff that's come out of Queensland that's happened during the week, including the farewells to the fallen officers, and also the neighbour. We'll be talking about the investigations that are going to be happening and so on. But yeah, it'll be an update. I don't have the time tonight to do I've got the time. I just have to be at work pretty early tomorrow. So hopefully you'll still find it all very interesting. I love your channel. It's cozy and witty. Spread the word. I like those. That's perfect. That's a great description. That's what we want to do here. The thing I like about us the most, though, is just that care factor. I love it when I go live and someone might have been dealing with something in a live 4 days ago, and people in chat are like, how did are you feeling better yet? And like, I love the connections in here, and the fact that we all care about each other, as different and wonderful and kooky as we all are. Hey, just one last thought. Totally random. What's with all the YouTubers that call themselves crazy something? Crazy mama, crazy mom of 4, crazy lady. It's something that's bugged me for 4 years. I can't take them seriously. And when you hear a creator going, I agree, crazy lady, that's a very good point. I'm like, it doesn't sound like it. It came from a crazy lady. Who describes himself? Are they really crazy? When they're not online, do you reckon behind the scenes, they're crazy and wild, doing all these wacky things? Are they actually diagnosed crazy? Might be. But imagine, like, you're coming up with your name and you're like, what am I going to call myself? Well, I am a little bit crazy. I stay up till 9:15 sometimes. I'll be crazy lady. It's a good channel, good community. And you are the reason for the season. Was that the quote? Or is it Jesus is the reason? No, you guys are. Because they are a cracker, but they're not. Some of them probably are, but I'm crazy mom of 2. And then they're in the chat and they're really serious. They don't understand. I took on a crazy person this morning that had crazy in their name with a bit of sarcasm, and it fell flat, and they didn't let it go. They kept, and I was like, you should have called yourself Serious Judy, because that's what you are. There was nothing crazy or wacky about her at all. So, yeah, keep an eye out for the crazies out there. Ask them, what time do you go to bed? And if they say 9:15, you certainly are crazy. I've got a really itchy nose. I'm wondering if I actually got stung by a blue bottle on the schnoz. Anyway, guys, I might see some of you tonight. I hope I do. Have a beautiful day, whatever you're getting up to. And remember, with all the Christmas crazy, it's one day on the 26th on Boxing Day. You're going to be like, thank God that's over. So keep breathing. I was going to say chill like Kathy. Now she's Kathy. Chill like Carol. Sleep like Sunny. Just be like Biscuit. Take it easy, everyone, and I'll see you again tonight.
DJ Gorbachev. She was put down.